was sat at the back of my economics class. I opened up my laptop. Someone messaged me about new Russian sanctions. I thought maybe that they've gone after the bad guys here in the UK, or someone has been sanctioned in Russia. I Googled Russian sanctions. I saw a Reuters headline. It was my name on the headline stating that I was sanctioned. It was a bit of a surreal moment.
Money makes a world go round. It makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round. It makes...
Welcome to The Laundry, the podcast connecting AML, compliance, and financial crime to the real world. What were you doing at 17? Maybe working a Saturday job, studying for exams? I did high school in France, so I was just probably eating croissants. The chances are if you were getting into any trouble, it was likely with a teacher or your parents. So how about pissing off oligarchy so much that you end up on their sanctioned list before you could legally buy a beer? I'm your host, Marit, CEO of Strise, and in this episode, we are asking, what does it take to get sanctioned by Putin at 17? We will be discussing how our guests built the world's first open source database for crypto laundering, the ruble-backed stablecoin allegedly funding Russia's war, and how do you find out that you pissed off Putin? And to dive into this topic, I'm delighted to be joined by Alexander Broughton, founder of Global Cryptocurrency Laundering Database. Welcome to The Laundry, Alexander.
Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm so honored to actually have my first sanctioned individual on the show, having worked in this industry now for 4.5 years and doing the laundry actually for that long too. It's an honor. I can believe it's been quite a busy weeks for you with this news breaking.
Definitely. It's unprecedented. They've never sanctioned a high schooler before, so it's clear my work has touched a nerve.
And let's dive into the conversation. But okay, let's just start at the background as to why. Let's talk about how you found out you were sanctioned later, but let's just start with how you actually got there, because you are building money laundering databases, and that isn't really typical teenage behavior. At least I didn't do that at 17. But how did that become your passion?
Yes, due to my family background, my father's a big human rights activist, and I've always been around people doing such great things, whether that's in anti-money laundering, human rights, or others. And I thought, why don't I try and do something to stop authoritarian regimes? And what I discovered is that cryptocurrency is a big path or big service for bad actors like Russia, North Korea, and Iran to use cryptocurrency to launder their funds. And so over the past 1.5 years or 2 years now, I created the largest open source database of cryptocurrency money laundering. And what I discovered is that state sanctioned actors are heavily utilizing cryptocurrency to launder their funds.
Oh, actually, I felt almost chill down my spine when you were like, yeah, I'm around all these people doing great things. Why don't I do something great? I wish every 17-year-old on the planet thought like you, because then I think we would be able to change the world quite quickly. But okay, let's talk about the moment that you found out that you were sanctioned, like when you realized that this was happening. Can you just describe that scene to our listeners?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So I'm still in high school. I was sat at the back of my economics class. I opened up my laptop. Someone messaged me about new Russian sanctions. I thought maybe that they've gone after the bad guys here in the UK, or someone has been sanctioned in Russia. And so I Googled Russian sanctions. I saw a Reuters headline, but what came as a surprise to me is that it was my name on the headline stating that I was sanctioned. It was a bit of a surreal moment. It was a surreal moment, and it was really a telling thing that the Kremlin, this apparently big and scary organization, decided that they needed to sanction a 17-year-old.
Oh my God, I'm actually getting tears in my eyes because it's so crazy. But what was the first feeling that you got, the first thought that went through your mind? Was it excitement? Were you fear? What went through your mind?
Yeah, so obviously it's a bit, what's the word? Unprecedented to be sanctioned. Of course, who doesn't experience a bit of fear when they first see their name? But the sanctions don't intimidate me. It tells me that my work is looking in the right place. If the Kremlin is angry about me discovering all the ways that they abuse cryptocurrency, it's clear that this is a key avenue.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of tells that you are onto something. So let's go back to the database and what is it that you actually, what are they so afraid of that you, or why did you, they actually want to sanction you? Because you spent around 18 months building the database before anyone actually started to pay attention. But could you tell us a little bit about the growth? How did it start? Where you're at now?
Yeah, it really started, I can think back to the exact moment, in February 2025. There was a really pressing case. The North Koreans managed to steal $1.5 billion from a cryptocurrency exchange in under 5 seconds. And so that 1.5 billion goes directly to funding their nuclear capabilities and other military things. And so if they can get away with stealing $1.5 billion in under a minute, what else are they doing to generate funds? And so for the past year and a half, through convictions, court records, analytical reporting, blockchain analysis, and other open source methods, I collated most of the major known cases of cryptocurrency money laundering. And so it's really significant because for North Korea, for Russia, for Iran, it's really become a revenue generating business for them and a way for them to skirt Western sanctions. And as your viewers may be aware, many of these countries are under heavy Western sanctions in the traditional finance world. And so they've shifted to using cryptocurrency to carry out all their activities.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I actually think that the heist that North Korea did, it was from Bybit, right? The
Yeah, Bybit.
1.5 billion. I don't think that got enough headline attention. Or
I
I
mean,
was
yeah,
gonna say it
it's
was
truly just
crazy.
shocking.
Yeah, it was just like a
Exactly.
little side notice in the newspaper somehow. I don't feel it was like put up as, okay, what does this mean? And what other stories does this tell? It's surely not just this case, but what are some of the other standout findings that you've done in your
Yeah,
research?
there's a couple different ones. I'll start with some shorter ones. North Korea, they receive a third of their government revenue from cryptocurrency schemes. They've carried out 30% of all the cryptocurrency hacks in my database. So this isn't some ransomware group or some malicious hackers. This is a whole state carrying out 30% of all the cryptocurrency hacks, or the major hacks. That's really significant. And what else? For Russia, they not only allow but encourage criminal activity. Half of all the illicit cryptocurrency exchanges in my database have originated from Russia, and they're responsible for massive ransomware attacks, massive hacks. So it's really become a pressing issue. And one significant development that I've been really focused on is the creation of a new stablecoin for sanctions evasion. I'm happy to speak more about it.
Yeah, let's hear. I definitely want to dive into this stable coin. It's the A7, A5,
A5.
right? Is that how you
Yeah.
call it?
Yeah.
Tell
So
us all about it.
okay, a stable coin, for your viewers who may not know, is a cryptocurrency which is backed to some real value, like the dollar or gold. And it's become mainly the most heavily utilized cryptocurrency type for bad actors because it's pegged to some real value. So there's not a lot of volatility. And normal stable coins, like major stable coins like USDC and others, which are regulated, they often seize funds when bad actors use them. And so a lot of Russians have had their assets seized on these stable coins. And so in January 2025, they decided to create their own stable coin. It was created by a sanctioned state Russian bank called PSB, which is sanctioned here in the UK, in the EU, and elsewhere, and a convicted Moldovan fraudster who's also sanctioned across the globe. And it's become one of the main tools for sanctions evasion by the Russians. And it's been sanctioned everywhere. The infrastructure and the service has been sanctioned here in the UK, in the EU, and the US, but it still continues to function. And not only does it function, it thrives. So there are reports that in the first year of operation alone, it processed over $100 billion in illicit volume. And so clearly the sanctions have been ineffective at present at taking it down. So I've spent the recent months trying to expose the enablers of this stablecoin. And what I discovered is that the people and organizations which are allowing it to continue to function are based in the state of Kyrgyzstan. So most of the illicit cryptocurrency exchanges, which is services that allow A785 to be converted into cash, a lot of them are registered in Kyrgyzstan. This includes UK and EU sanctioned cryptocurrency exchange called Grinex, UK and EU sanctioned cryptocurrency exchange called Mir, and even the issuer of the stablecoin, something called Old Vector, which is also sanctioned here in the UK, in the EU, and elsewhere. And even more egregious, I would say, is that there's been reports that the mastermind behind this scheme, a convicted Moldovan fraudster, gifted the Kyrgyzstani president a luxury jet.
Really?
There's clearly something fostering there. And so I've been trying to expose their enablers. And last 2 months ago, on the back of my work, 26 UK MPs and lords wrote to the UK Foreign Secretary urging sanctions on the enablers within Kyrgyzstan. And I would say 2 weeks ago, the government in the UK responded by sanctioning many of these enablers. But then obviously what came as a surprise to me is that I myself was sanctioned in response to this. So if this is causing such an outrageous reaction by the Russians, it's clear that this is a loophole that they're using.
Yeah, for sure. Then it definitely points to the fact that your research was accurate and you were able to expose some of the people behind this if their counter reaction was this. But it's a crazy story because it's financial crime. It's a lot of things at the same time. It's the stable coin, and then you have some fraudsters who are then bribing officials, and it's just all becoming, and it's corruption, right? It's all just melting together, and it's quite severe and quite big. And also it's really sad to hear this thing as well, that the world is going in that direction, and so many being entangled in all of this it's not good news. But it's quite impressive that you as a 17-year-old did all this research and you were able to shed the light on this. So just really well done. Are you surprised that it needed a 17-year-old with public records to map this, or do you think that the responsibility should be on someone else, or do you think everyone now should just become like vigilantes and spend their afternoons doing this?
Yes, I think it requires a young person who understands this stuff to expose it. What I discovered is that most of the general public has no idea about how cryptocurrency laundering works. And indeed, even more seriously, most senior politicians I speak to have no idea even what cryptocurrency is. And so when you have bad actors like these state-sanctioned actors who are able to move billions of dollars through cryptocurrency, but because these senior politicians and authorities are incapable of properly taking down these schemes, you need vigilantes to come in and trying to educate the authorities.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that you've also told the House of Lords that the dirty money has kind of moved on from Bitcoin to stablecoins, but everyone, as you said, they don't even know what cryptocurrencies are, and if they do, they're still just hung up on Bitcoin. So that was your message to the House of Lords. For the Laundry listeners, a lot of them are professionals working in financial crime preventions within financial institutions. What would your message be to compliance professionals who are not crypto native, and how should they be thinking about this?
Okay, so my message would be, if you are looking at major fraud cases, scam cases, drug cases, or other nefarious malicious activity, it's a good place to start to see if any of that funds has moved through an on-ramp to cryptocurrency, especially through stablecoins. So as I was mentioning before, stablecoins have become one of the major tools for bad actors. In 2024 alone, 63% of all illicit transactions through cryptocurrency happen through stablecoins. But it's really entirely possible, if you spend enough time, to trace the transactions through these different sorts of cryptocurrencies. But it's definitely what I discovered. There's an inequality of arms between the authorities and the bad actors. Most authorities in the UK and elsewhere, they don't have enough funding to investigate cryptocurrency cases. They don't have the expertise either to try and understand what's going on.
We talked about the shocking case of the Bybit hack, $1.5 billion. What are some other Like maybe it's smaller amounts, but equally shocking stories that you have uncovered through your research, because the stories are always interesting for people to hear.
Yeah, another interesting story which may resonate with some of your viewers. In the UK, we have something called Companies House where you can register companies onto. And what I discovered is that there was two UK companies called Zcion and Zsex. And these were both cryptocurrency exchanges. On the surface, they were registered to a person called Elizabeth Newman. And this person supposedly was located in the Dominican Republic, where she registered her address to the Sheraton and another hotel for each of these two companies. And also she would file dormant accounts, meaning apparently no business activity. And so this was going on for 5 years. But how it turned out is that this was actually a front for the IRGC. Both of these exchanges processed tens of billions for the IRGC while being registered here in the UK in Mayfair. And so what I uncovered is that Elizabeth Newman doesn't exist. It's a fake person. And actually, the mastermind behind the scheme is a person named Babak Zanjani. He's an Iranian businessman who has been vital in supporting the Iranian government. He's sanctioned in the UK and in the US and elsewhere. And so these two companies managed to stay registered here in the UK for 5 years without any repercussions or anyone finding out that that's a particularly egregious case. What else? So another, on a different angle, less state sanctioned, this is more about scams. For your viewers may have heard of something called pig butchering, where a scammer, often based in Southeast Asia, is able to lure victims in either with fake investment scams or fake romance attempts. And in Kansas, this was a couple years ago, or in 2024, a Kansas bank CEO was duped into falling for one of these investment scams, and he embezzled $45 million from his bank into cryptocurrency and sent it to the scammers. And so the bank collapsed. It fell under FDIC ownership. And so you had thousands of victims across Kansas and across the US who were affected by this one CEO falling for a scam. So that was pretty interesting.
These stories are crazy, and you have achieved already so much. You have run investigations into Iranian cryptocurrency exchanges, you've been sanctioned, you've testified to the UK Parliament, you've done a lot, but what is next on your roadmap as a founder? When will you be making headlines next?
Yeah, so I hope to continue making headlines. I hope this isn't my 5 seconds of fame, but I think the bad actors are constantly dynamic. They're constantly evolving. You take down one exchange, 5 more pop up. I like to think of it as a game of whack-a-mole. And so there's more work to be done there. But I also think I could possibly create something to stop these bad actors in their tracks. But for now, I'm focused on advocacy. And it's not just Russia who is doing this, as I mentioned, it's Iran, North Korea, so much more can be done. And also to protect victims here within the UK and US and EU. Lots of them are falling for these scams, like I mentioned, this Kansas bank CEO. And so I'm going to try and push for more protection for them as well.
That's also really important. I'll be at least watching, and I'm excited to hear what you're going to do next. But before we end this episode, we're going to dish out some quick fire questions for you. So I'll say something, I'll say the question, and you say the first word that pops into your mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Bitcoin or stablecoins? Where's the dirty money heading in the next 5 years?
Stablecoins, definitely, if Bitcoin's volatility doesn't decrease.
What's the biggest thing the experts gets wrong about crypto laundering?
How many different services and cryptocurrencies bad actors can use within the space of laundering?
Do you think getting a grip on crypto laundering could stop the war?
I do. If you cut off the cryptocurrency funding, many different countries like Russia, war of aggression can stop.
Knowing it would land you on the Kremlin list, would you publish the report all over again?
I definitely would publish, and I think I might publish more. I want to get on other countries' sanctions list.
Yeah, maybe that's actually a good KPI to measure how successful it is, like how many of the adversaries will actually sanction you. But that brings this spin of the laundry to an end. Alexander, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a true
Thank you.
honor. Where can people find and connect with you, potentially hire you, and also check out the work you're doing?
Definitely follow me on Twitter. I don't know how this works, but my handle is @AlexBrowder _ And so I post regular updates with different interesting events. So definitely follow me there, or on LinkedIn, or check out my website, launderingdatabase.org.
I really encourage everyone who listened to this episode, go and check out the website and follow you. It's so interesting. And thanks to everyone who spent this 30 minutes listening to us. If you enjoyed this podcast, check out the back catalog of more than 160 episodes and follow The Laundry on your podcast platform of choice. Please share this podcast on your social media channels, tell a colleague about it, maybe give us a 5-star rating. It really helps people to find us. And if you have something to share with us, you can always contact me, Marit@Strise.ai. And your host for this episode was me, Marit, producer was Matthew, and our editor was Dominic, and the video is done by Lois. And The Laundry is proudly produced by Strise. We're a company that builds software for KYC and AML processes. Visit Strise.ai for more information. See you next time.